Winds tore across the deck of the USS Harry S. Truman. In seconds, a $60 million Super Hornet was gone, sliding off the carrier's edge and into the Red Sea below. The Navy called it an accident, but few aboard believed it. That day wasn't the beginning, it was the breaking point. The warnings had already been there. Months of rising drone threats and close calls before that April day. What looked like a one-off mishap now feels like a warning, a preview of what modern naval warfare really looks like. Constant tension, invisible enemies, and a carrier strike group living on high alert. Since then, Houthi drones have intensified their attacks on shipping. U.S. destroyers are intercepting more targets than ever. In the same waters where Truman lost, that jet have turned into one of the busiest missile defense zones on the planet. This is the story of the USS Harry S. Truman, under fire, under pressure, and under scrutiny. Before we dive in, hit like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell so you never miss a deep dive from Naval Brief. In September 2024, the Red Sea was already on fire. Houthi forces in Yemen were launching wave after wave of Iranian-built drones toward both commercial and military vessels, small, fast, and armed. They were increasingly accurate. That's when the Harry S. Truman Strike Group 8 was rerouted from the Mediterranean into the Red Sea as part of Operation Rough Rider, a U.S. campaign to counter those attacks and safeguard shipping through one of the world's busiest waterways. It was a move not publicly announced at the time. The mission wasn't just deterrence, it was endurance under fire, as the Truman became the centerpiece of the defense line. In the weeks that followed, drone alerts became routine. Escorts like USS Laboon and USS Gravely intercepted incoming threats almost daily. The Truman's radar teams logged every launch and every near miss. By January 2025, Washington had recorded more than 60 drone interceptions across the region. Each cost the U.S. tens of thousands of dollars in defensive missiles to destroy an aircraft worth a fraction of that. Behind every launch was a message from Tehran, funneled through its Houthi proxies, testing how far the U.S. would go before firing back. The Red Sea had turned into a contest of cheap drones versus billion-dollar warships. And Washington knew that one lucky strike could outweigh every successful intercept. For the sailors aboard the Truman, the message was clear. They weren't just deterring attacks anymore. They were living through them. At night, the horizon was alive with contacts, faint radar blips, heat signatures, and drone tracks rising from the Yemeni coast. No one could tell until it was incoming. The calm never lasted long. Fatigue crept in across the Truman Strike Group. Sleep came in bursts. Radar crews rotated without pause. Every ping could be real, and lately many were. Then came February 12th. The Truman collided with the merchant vessel Besiktasm near Port Said, Egypt. No injuries were reported, but both ships took damage and the Truman went for emergency repairs. It was a small scrape on the charts, yet a warning sign of what the relentless pace was doing to focus and timing. Still, orders stayed the same. Remain on station, keep the Red Sea open, and hold the line for Operation Rough Rider. 2 months later, the strain broke the surface. On April 28th, a F-teeny Super Hornet was lost at sea, not to enemy fire, but to the chaos that comes with evading it. The Truman made a sharp turn to dodge incoming Houthi fire. Below deck, the Super Hornet under tow broke loose, the tractor still hitched. It rolled across the hangar bay, gathering speed before plunging off the edge and vanishing into the Red Sea. In 5 seconds, a $60 million aircraft and its classified systems were gone. One sailor sustained minor injuries after jumping clear. The Navy called it an accident, but aboard the Truman, few believed coincidence had anything to do with it. They knew what the report didn't say, that when you sail under threat every day, even an accident can be the cost of survival. Central Command confirmed that same week, U.S. destroyers operating less than 150 nautical miles away intercepted 4 Houthi drones. None hit their targets, but the pattern was obvious. Routine patrols had turned into combat operations. Houthi-aligned media bragged about targeting foreign warships aiding Israel. While those claims were never verified, U.S. analysts agreed that Iran's hand was clear: more range, more precision, and a steady flow of drone components through smuggling networks. For the Truman, it meant one thing: constant pressure. Then came a sixth. Another F-18F Super Hornet went down on the Truman. As the jet approached to land, the arresting wire failed to catch, sending the aircraft off the deck and into the Red Sea. Both aviators ejected safely and were recovered with minor injuries. 2 accidents, 8 days apart from the same ship. The Navy cited mechanical failure, but for sailors who'd spent months under constant threat, the pattern felt too familiar. The carrier was operating in a war zone that officially wasn't one, and the stress was taking its toll. Across the region, allies took notice. Saudi patrols reported fresh drone signatures. Then came a near miss of a different kind. A commercial tanker swerved toward the Truman's formation after dodging a drone attack near the Bab el-Mandeb Strait. The carrier issued emergency signals as escorts flanked the vessel to steer clear. The 2 ships missed by less than 300 yards, close enough that sailors on deck could see the crew waving. No shots fired, no damage done, but it was a warning. Commanders briefly halted nighttime flight ops, worried that the crowded sea lanes, drones, and live weapons were a disaster waiting to happen. Back in Washington, debate broke out. Some lawmakers demanded tougher responses. Others warned of getting dragged deeper into another Middle Eastern conflict. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin told reporters, "Deterrence only works if you're there to prove it." By late summer, Central Command reported nearly 200 drone and missile intercepts across the Red Sea corridor since January. Each one cost money, manpower, and focus, and each one raised the risk of a mistake. A retired admiral told CNN, "The Truman's deployment shows freedom of navigation isn't free anymore." But not everyone agreed with staying. Critics questioned whether keeping carriers in the Red Sea was worth the danger, especially with tensions flaring in the Pacific. The Navy's investigation into the Super Hornet's loss is still under investigation. Months later, the Truman was reassigned to the Eastern Mediterranean. The lost jet became a case study at the Naval War College, not for what failed, but for what it revealed. The line between accident, attack, and environment is fading fast. Modern naval warfare isn't about who shoots first anymore. It's about who can endure constant pressure without breaking. Today, the Truman sails under blue skies again, decks spotless, jets refueled, defenses armed. But every sailor aboard knows the calm means nothing. Somewhere beneath those waters lies that lost Super Hornet, silent proof of how fragile control can be, even aboard one of the world's most advanced warships. The Truman story isn't just about the jets it lost. It's about the sailors who never stopped holding the line when the sea itself turned hostile. Under fire, under pressure, still standing watch. And the Red Sea never forgets. This is Naval Brief, your briefing room for sea power and defense analysis. If you're all hands on deck for real naval operations, maritime conflict, and global defense, subscribe and stay mission ready for the next briefing.